If you've seen this, thank you. This is mostly a pack focused around Create, because Create, 0.3? So at the start I thought I'd just jump cut a lot of footage together since I'm playing with a bunch of different other mods. For example, you would notice that the word probably looks a bit different. That's because the main mod for this is Terraforged, with biome mods, like Biomes Aplenty in there to just spice things up. But it pretty much means that the mass of biomes are really far apart. Even though I do have it set to light and small, it's still quite a distance between biomes. So as you'll see me going through all these different villages, cutting in and out and taking a look at all these fantastic biomes. Now the shader pack I am using is Project Luma, if I remember correctly. You may have noticed that my villagers are a bit different. There are some that have got swords and shields. They are just purely guards to help protect these villages. And you'll notice when I look at some of their inventories that I can recycle them if I haven't yet traded with. So I'm like, how do I tame a horse? I'm not entirely sure how you do this. But there we are, I kind of work it out eventually. Now this was a genius idea, not that I knew it at the time, because just how much traveling I would do on the back of this horse to get me from point A to point B. And with it being so far in between location, luckily I had a bed because I definitely needed to sleep. Because I'm playing this on hard, not hardcore, no thank you, it's modded. I'm gonna die. Either way, here we are in another biome that's just, bamboo forest or something, and then we've got all these lovely purple trees mixed in. As you can see, I've got JEI, which if you've played modded, is a requirement, because otherwise you will have no idea how to craft things. Even though I haven't messed with any of the recipes in this pack that I've created, I wouldn't remember everything. I remember when I played vanilla Minecraft, I would have trouble trying to remember the cake recipe, but that's beside the point really. You can even make birch trees look nice for once. Really hard to do that, but I definitely can't. Now, I am not a builder, far from it in fact. I have been known with my friends' worlds that I play on sometimes to literally still be living above the ground, just with everything spread out well into a playthrough. And then usually I just hide myself on the ground. I'm really not one for making something that looks pretty. Functional, yes, which is why Create has got me so excited to play it, because what's better than having giant mechanical crafters and conveyor belts and arms that move things from point A to point B to achieve something. That is just going to be so fun. Now at this point you're just noticing that I'm crafting, I'm like, I finally do need to get some stone. Not to say I'm gonna make you sit through and watch the entire thing, but I've got stuff like here so I can vein mine, because I'm here to play, not dig. Like, was it 63 blocks you get on a wooden pickaxe, something like that? No thank you. Even though I kind of thought maybe it was a bit overpowered because it takes away from some of the features of Create, but the rule of thumb is I don't want to be present for when I automate mining and Create and farming. So at the start, when I have to do it manually, doing it a lot faster manually is a whole lot better. Not to say that I don't take advantage of Create's features to cut down entire trees at once. Later on, in the next episode probably, that there are some trees that are just too tall for vein miner, so I just know you've got to cut them down with the Create, and it's so effective. Putting a saw right up against the tree and then just hand cranking it, and the whole thing just comes down. But that's later on. At the moment, I'm making myself some ceramic armor because it's better than nothing, and it's such a little nice mod that I couldn't resist putting it in. Give me a bit of protection because I'd rather not die, just out of preference, of course. Now I thought I'd come up here to get a nice view of the environment because this sunset is just beautiful. Now I'm hoping that my horse can get up here relatively easily. In the end it was fine. You can see there in the background of a lot of these environmental shots that there are these big circular dungeons. I'm not going to go to any of those at the moment because I like to live. A mushroom island biome, and I thought, oh cool, I can make a base here. And then I realized it's actually pretty small and not really useful because of that. Unless I mined underneath it or something, but then again, it's such a small slice of the biome that mobs are going to spawn on the outsides and then just come in and greet me. But at least I found an ocean because, for those you don't know, in Create, to make belts you need dried kelp. It just looks like seaweed. I play normally a lot with Spax texture pack, however, I couldn't get all these mods in the texture pack, so just vanilla some shader improvements I think would look quite nice regardless. I'm coming down here just to get some more kelp, since in one of my test worlds that I generated, I was so far away from any ocean that I actually couldn't even get any belts and Create, which drove me bonkers. So I've now got a mental note to always grab it as soon as possible, or make a beeline, since in Terraforged, if I find a lake or a river, I can follow it and it will eventually lead me to an ocean, and I can follow it with a boat, as in they're actually useful. Find myself a destroyed nether portal and find, full inventory. However, clay for a golden apple, that's a good trade, I think. I won't complain about that. Thank you very much. Now, back onto my journey. Now I know I make a big cut here because these trees were kind of hard to get through. And finding some of these gorgeous biomes with red and orange textures. Oh, lovely. I end up setting up shop in one of these a bit later on. But just such nice colours. With shaders just, having, more detailed lighting and more realistic. So I'm so thankful that I've got a horse because I wouldn't have been able to travel nearly as far without one. Alright, back into a giant tree forest. And here I was thinking when I was going through here, man, why can't vanilla Minecraft have something like this in the next update? Just these giant forests that I'm actually able to get through because the trees are taller. Granted that these trees are from biomes plenty, so it's a different type of tree. However, the thought still stands, it still looks pretty. Into colder biomes, so you're starting to see snow on the ground, you're starting to see also my character's breath and frozen ice and everything, plus ice spike, bio, deep ocean, cold ocean, not entirely sure what it is, I didn't go exploring out there yet. But yep, here is another cut to a different section, since it's just a lot of showing you around at the moment until I finally actually get to what will be my starter base. Because what I was hunting for was a generated structure, and I knew of a few of them were actually livable inside them that didn't have spawners. So essentially, and here we are. Love my cuts. But this will be my home because it is built up, it looks nice, and I could do nowhere near as good otherwise. And it happens to be right by a village. I'll collect their resources soon. Like, this thing's kitted out with armor, some ores, equipment, different tool stations, and a painting, and a big bed. Not that I can sleep in it quite yet, given the time of day, and just a bit of general loot, so I thought it was a pretty good place to start with. Now, while my character gets a bit more of the housekeeping done and sorts the inventory, my plans moving forward is that I need to create a nice big pathway through that lovely forest of trees, since on the other side of it is a bunch of villages and a nice big desert. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put my factory, because I envision a giant create factory, kind of like an assembly line like what you would see in real life, of making various products, and it's like the first one I'm going to be working on will be an iron farm. That'd be the most useful one, maybe also having glass produced and stuff like that. Since one of my long-term goals is I want to drain a Guardian temple and turn that into my endgame base. However, I'm aware it's a lot of work, it's just less work with Create. But at the moment, my immediate goal is that I need to lock up my horse, because otherwise it's going to go places without me, and as we've learned, it's a very big map as far as how spread apart biomes are, because we need to make sure that my four-legged friend is perfectly fine. But so my immediate plans is that I will get up some basic machines for Create that you need to get into the mod basically. Then I'm going to create some sort of rail contraption that basically mows down a nice straight pathway through the forest. I think that'd be incredibly fun to do, especially because these are giant trees, so it's going to be a massive wood farm. So also in Create you can have a gold farm, which I'm going to need since I'm going to do villages. I know how broken they can be, and especially now that I can automate them, well, once I get netherite, because I haven't changed the recipe, I can automate villager traders. So I can have farms that will auto-mine pumpkins for me, for example, craft them pumpkin slices into melon blocks, and then have the machine put the melon blocks into the auto trader, and then 2 times a day I'm going to get a bunch of emeralds out of each villager that I've got set up, so it's going to be a nice emerald farm. What I'm going to do with the emeralds? I don't have an answer for that, apart from just maybe make a big stack of emeralds somewhere and just like, look at me, lots of emeralds and lots of diamonds and some really cool automated factories. Gotta have a chocolate factory, and I've also got a mod called the Spice of Life Potato Edition, which basically my character gets benefits for every time I eat a new food. So I need to create a factory that will produce a certain number of different foods so that I'll eat in rotation. And once I eat enough foods in rotation, I get benefits, and as long as I keep that up and keep eating those foods every once in a while, I'll get these benefits. which is a really nice little benefit, especially because of the fact that I've got a fair few dungeons in here, custom mine shafts, so there's some good exploratory content in between crafting things and making factories, because otherwise I'd get bored personally. With my character looking at a beautiful sunset and turning off my HUD just to admire how pretty the view is of shaders. However, it's time to get back to work. And what kind of work that is? Going to a village and taking all their stuff. Don't worry, I'll take the villagers too. They won't miss their things because their things will become my things and they will also become my things. It's all perfectly safe. They're going to have the best time of their lives. Stuck in little boxes being forced fed items for eternity. Now, as you would, you get on your horse, you go down to your local village and you'd be like, I need workers. And so with this mod, Simple Villages, Easy Villages, I'm not quite sure of the name off the top of my head, basically I can pick villages up like they were items essentially, and there are different blocks in the mod that I can use to breed villages, convert villages into zombies and back again, you know, to get better trades, stuff that you put them in for actual trading, as well as an automated one down the line with netherite in the recipe, stuff for simulating village iron farms, except I won't use that because that really takes away from create. Otherwise, it's just a convenience. I could do everything I'm going to do with this mod just with vanilla mechanics, except it would take a whole lot longer and drive me nuts. I've already done it with my friend's vanilla series. I'm not keen to do it again. Though after I've done all that, I thought I'd go out and check this POI, which is some sort of abandoned castle. If I had found this first before my house, I would have moved into this because damn, this thing looks cool. And the environment around it with just these big fields of like rye or wheat or something. Just a spectacular view. And the best part is there's a bit of loot inside this thing. Now the only notable thing that I got inside was my first diamond. I can't complain about, as well as a lot of barrels. Since it's just a very nice block, just keep them away from your villages because otherwise you're going to have lots of fishers? The fishing villager. I'm not entirely sure. I went from Minecraft 1.12 to 1.16. I had to look up a lot of mechanics from that jump because modern Minecraft is set on 1.12 for a long time. So the B update and all those things, there's probably a lot of things I don't actually know, but we can all learn together, as in you can just point out to the comments nicely, please. Now I won't let you watch me try and work out my inventory because it seemed to be very hard for me. So I'll just make a jump cut because inventory management is so fun to watch. Back home before it gets too dark because otherwise my face is going to get ripped off. Shove the horse inside the stable. I'll call it stables for now. It's more like a little fence. Otherwise I'll get into bed and I'll see yous next time. Keep my villagers up right beside me because they'll keep me warm at night. Otherwise, thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next one.